Thanks for joining us, everybody, today. This is an idea that I've had over the past few weeks to sort of bring some different areas of the Minnesota distilling, spirits, and bar community together. And hopefully we can spark some conversations about what's going on and where we're headed in the future. So I want to start by everybody introducing themselves. First, we'll start up north with Mike and Cheri. Go ahead and introduce yourselves to people who are watching that may not know you.
Hi, I'm Cheri Reese.
And I'm Mike Swanson.
We're with Far North Spirits Distillery in Halleck, Minnesota.
Thanks for joining us today, guys. Let's go to Gina next. We'll get another distillery update and introduction here.
Hi, Gina Holman with Carver Distillery in Waconia.
And you're also here as a rep of another organization, right?
Yes, and I'm also here representing as Vice President of the Minnesota Distillers Guild.
Okay. Jesse?
Hi, everybody. Jesse Held with Earl Giles Distillery, hopefully. Well, right now we're doing the non-alcoholic cocktail mixers and whatnot.
And Jesse, you're also here repping Jester Concepts, right?
Oh, Jester Concepts, yep. Yeah, sorry about that. I should probably mention that. Yeah, Jester, former bar director for Jester Concepts, Parlor Borough, PS Steak, Parlor St. Paul. I'm forgetting a couple in there, I'm sure. So, yeah.
Robb, hello.
Hi, Mike. Hi, guys. My name is Robb Jones. I am part owner of Meteor in North Minneapolis. It's a bar.
Are you wearing a Jester
independently owned, very small bar.
What's your t-shirt that you're wearing?
I got new shirts.
Oh, Meteor. Oh, I see. Okay. Very cool. And then Dan, tell everybody about yourself.
Hey, Dan Campo, South Lyndale Liquors. Excited to be here and support all of you guys.
Everyone,
well, I know everybody's
excited.
Everybody looks super excited, I know. But look, I know everybody's busy. Well, some of you are not busy and some of you are very busy. So for everybody to join us today and to come into agreement on time and place to talk about this important stuff, I really appreciate. I kind of want to start with just like a short idea of how everybody's business is going, because it ranges. I think it ranges from very bad to very good, maybe. So Dan, let's start with you, because we talked and you said that you feel kind of fortunate.
Oh, I feel very fortunate. We're an essential service, so for us, we're open. We still have we've got our doors open. We've got pickup where we're doing a rapid pickup for people so they can order online, and then we've got delivery. So for us, the situation financially, we're doing all right. I've got everybody still employed with us. We've hired actually some people from the bar and restaurant industry, and so we're just trying to keep up and keep pace with orders. I mean, the challenge for us is, well, it's two things. One, we're still in business, so we are still, as a group, we're at higher risk of exposure. Number two is that we are trying to switch over, like everybody else here, trying to figure out other methods of getting product to people. That's this rapid pickup. So all of a sudden I have stock guys who are used to grabbing product from some of the people here on the screen and putting it up onto a shelf, and a customer will come in. Now, those products sometimes are staying in the back room. We're trying to fill orders and get them up the back for rapid pickup for people. So that's where we're at.
Okay, would you say then you tell me if this is prying too much, but from a financial perspective, from a sales figure perspective, is it essentially business as usual at this point for you?
Absolutely. It is completely business as usual. We had a couple of days that were business well above normal. I mean, like Christmas time kind of business. And we had one of our highest volume days was a few Fridays ago, when everybody was concerned what the governor was going to do before anything changed. And we managed to hit higher actual number of units going out the door than we'd had ever in 45 years. And we did it in 8 hours with half of our normal staff and everything else. And so for us, days like that were just insane. Now it has calmed down and it's regular business as usual for us.
Wow, that's incredible. I want to get the other end of the spectrum. Robb his business is relatively new and has been shuttered for almost half of the time it's been in operation. Would that be accurate to say?
Well, we're getting there. If we go another month, we'll have been closed about the same amount of time we were open. Just an ideal, but I think we're in a position where, you know, what we did is, you know, we basically we cut the head off and stopped the bleeding. There isn't too much we can do. We don't offer food, so we can't really do any pickup or delivery stuff. We can't really take advantage of even beer and wine sales at this point without making like an investment, which at this point, it doesn't really make sense to make an investment in something when, you know, I think we've thought of different things, and at the end of the day, we've kind of decided that the investment doesn't make sense. I think we're just trying to do things to stay relevant more than to try to generate income. We're also in a good position from the standpoint of we only employ other people besides myself and Elliot, so we don't have a huge labor force to worry about. The majority of them are on unemployment. We're lucky that we are one of the businesses that did get approved for our PPP, so we can actually start bringing people back on later this week and paying them and I guess getting them off unemployment. We have plenty of like little odds and ends to kind of keep them busy for a couple of weeks, but you know, after one of the bad parts about that PPP is to get forgiveness, you have to show that you've been using it for the first 8 weeks, and the majority of that is going to payroll. So we essentially have to hire everyone back without being open, and just try to keep them busy, I guess, for the first 8 weeks here, and then hope that we can open at the end of that. Otherwise, you know, we're going to be sitting on some of that money without much to do with it. You know.
Okay, I have some more questions about that coming up a little later in the roundtable. Let's switch to Jesse. Jesse, where exactly are you at right now?
Wow, that's a very good question, because depending on the hour, I don't really know myself where I'm at. So I'm going to come at this from a couple different standpoints. As far as the Jester Concepts standpoint in all of their restaurants, it has been a whirlwind of you know, tribulations and ups and downs over the past 5 weeks. I know the restaurants are doing what they can for takeout, like Burrow and Parlor. They're doing some takeout food with different variations of the burger. There's some NA stuff. They're now able to do beer and wine now, so that's helping a lot. But other restaurants in the group, like Manello and Constantine, those restaurants are dark. Because that food doesn't travel well as far as takeout goes. Parlor St. Paul, they're doing the burger. You know, we're starting to activate that food truck a little bit to help bridge the gap a little bit. So as far as Jester Concepts goes, I know that they're starting to get their management back to work because they did get that PPP loan. And they're starting to get some key people involved, trying to get the restaurant, you know, get the engines revving again, just kind of sort out what needs to be done. How do you activate the restaurant? You know, what all needs to happen in order to open the doors again. So it is, it had come to a screeching halt, and now it's starting to slowly, very slowly, come back to life a little bit. As far as the Earl Giles goes, we had to completely pivot what we do, because we rely so heavily on the bars and restaurants for our syrups and ginger beer and whatnot. So we've had to completely pivot our whole operation and do more off-premise things with South Lyndale Liquors, with delivering to people's homes that are interested in and still providing that cocktail element that the bars and restaurants cannot yet, to help partner with South Lyndale Liquors, and then be able to put these cocktail kits together, deliver to people's homes, give a Facebook Live presentation on how to make a daiquiri, how to make a gimlet or an old fashioned. So we're trying to think through a little bit of outside the box areas where we can help not only ourselves stay alive, but help the community and still be able to enjoy some sort of normalcy when it comes to imbibing when it, for old fashions or whatever that they can't get right now. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're treading water,
Jesse,
and that's about.
I did a takeout, a cocktail kit from Norseman Distillery this weekend, and I was shocked. Like, they had ice in there as well.
Yep.
And I thought, well, that's weird. But then I realized it's probably to help keep the ice companies' income coming in as well. So have you thought about packaging some of your Earl Giles stuff with other takeout materials?
Absolutely. We actually are working with a couple of people that everybody here probably knows. Eric Eastman at Minnesota Ice, we are partnered with him. Nick Kosovich and Ira Kopovitz over at Bitter Cube, we partnered with them. South Lyndale Liquors has been a fantastic supporter of this project that we're putting our cocktail kits together. So we're assembling like the spirit, the syrup, or the mixer, the bitters, and the ice as all in one kind of package that people are coming in, grabbing, taking home, and then able to make 2-3 different kinds of cocktails out of. So yeah, we're trying to hit all our friends.
Mike and Cheri, let's move to you next. I mean, you guys are relatively, compared to somebody like Gina, a smaller distillery. What kind of impact is having the cocktail room being closed had on you guys, and how are off-sale sales going?
Well, so far it's I mean, our cocktail room, as remote as it is, we just never did a huge amount of volume like the cocktail rooms in the cities. So the impact of that has been relatively minor. You put a cocktail room in the middle of a wheat field, people do show up, but it's not a huge amount, right? So,
and I'd imagine more so during the summer too than in the middle of winter.
You would be surprised. We have people that come out during snowstorms to come to the cocktail room, so it happens. But we very quickly pivoted to making hand sanitizer, which has been very hard to get up here, and so we've made a lot more of it than I would have thought. So we've pivoted to that and been very busy getting hand sanitizer out the door.
We've, for other markets too, I was just going to say, in terms of off sale, we sell into North Dakota, quite a bit of volume there, and they're still ordering. Maryland's still ordering. New York is still ordering. So we've always been much more retail than on-premise. So, certainly I think we're going to see it dip from what it was a year ago, but we kind of have a remote model as our business model.
Yeah.
So most of what we do is remote, and we just have a different model. Our cocktail room is only open 5 hours a week typically.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
So is there a lot of anxiety for you guys at this point? You sound like you're fairly steady at this point.
Yeah, I mean, South Lyndale's still ordering, so cheers.
thank you.
Oh no, you guys are great. I just straight up as I hear it, I just wanted you guys to know I'm really sorry about what's going on. I feel bad for all of you, and just to, as you obviously know, we are trying to partner, and we're trying to do all of those things. If there's anything more that we can do for you, would you guys please get a hold of me after this call, and let's talk about ways we can push it, because while I am the retailer and people are coming in, and I feel lucky to be there, I feel a responsibility and a dedication to all of you, because you are the ones putting together this amazing products and everything else, and you're the ones hit the hardest by it. So if there's anything we can do, again, more cocktail kits, any ideas you have, I'm up for anything that we can do to help.
Gina, how about you guys? How's Waconia going?
Well, like everybody, we've transitioned into the hand sanitizer as well. And the reason was there was such a great need for first responders, police, and fire. So we didn't get into the hand sanitizer market. Sounds so weird to say that, to sell it. Ours was definitely to donate to, just because the need is so great. especially with nursing homes. You know, they're the most vulnerable. There were hospitals that, if they were smaller hospitals, couldn't get any of the product. And of course, everybody knows that there's such a need out there. As far as production, instead of making whiskey, we shifted over to vodka in case there is a greater need. So we just finished with our second batch. As far as the cocktail room, we closed, and it seems like such a blur this last 4 or 5 weeks. Seems like a crazy blur, but we closed the cocktail room completely. And as far as our focus, it's really to just support any way that we possibly can all of the restaurant partners, just because we know they're the hardest hit as well. So as much as we can try and do social media posts or do curbside, you know, obviously being safe and trying to go out and about, but keep the social distancing, do the curbside. And again, with everybody that's on this call, so Jesse and Dan and everybody, you know, wanting to support Eric Eastman as well. I mean, everybody's just been so creative. I think there's a really incredible part of the story is just the creativity and the collaboration of all of the hospitality and different legs of the hospitality industry. I think sometimes everybody thinks that we're in competition with each other, but I think the beautiful part of this story is this has proved how much everybody does care about everybody, and to really align with social media as a powerful tool to tag everybody and to let the consumer know, because I think the consumer really does want to support local, and they do understand that people have been hard hit. And so with a lot of the retailers, it's like Dan said, you know, people, you walk in and nobody wants to talk. And so they go to sometimes what they know, which is more of the bigger box brands or bigger brands. And it was really the support of our restaurants having spirits on cocktail lists and really being behind us. It's people like Lyndale Liquors, that their team is so educated and so well versed with the local scene that they could hand sell all of for the local micro distilleries. So to us, it's whatever we can do to really support the restaurants who have been so immensely supportive of the micro distillery scene the last 6 years. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to get to this point where we're at today. It's all the micro distilleries.
Gina, what are you hearing from the Distilling Guild members as a whole? Is it a positive story? What's the overall sense, if you can boil it down?
Depending upon what aspect of the story you're talking about, define the question a little bit more. Like from a hand
Sure.
sanitizer perspective, some people, it's actually keeping the lights on for their business, right? Some are doing a really amazing job with partnering with, you know, retailers, but others, it's tough for them. I mean, they're struggling.
Do you get a sense that if this drags on through the middle of summer, which seems possible, maybe even likely, have you gotten a sense that we're going to lose any micro distilleries at this point, from what you've heard, without naming names?
I would say yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. Yes, some will definitely have the hardship of making the decision to close their doors.
Let's talk a little bit about policy, if you don't mind. I mean, this to-go beer and wine sales thing, it's kind of confusing to me, so I'm hoping somebody can jump in and explain it. My assumption is that it was requested mostly so that people's inventories don't go bad, but I personally could never see myself buying beer or wine from a restaurant as opposed to just going to a liquor store. I was really shocked when cocktails and liquor was not included in that. Somebody jump in and explain this to me to the best that you can.
The reason why it's not possible?
Well, just the reason why it wasn't included in the bill. I mean, from what we're hearing from St. Paul, it was that it wasn't pushed for, or it didn't seem necessary.
I think the biggest issue everyone had with it was who's responsible for controlling it. You run into national issues with it too, as far as decisions that can be made on a local level. The biggest issue that I understood was not being able to have it in a sealed container, and then not having, essentially, there's so many different things that go into it. First of all, my insurance doesn't cover me having people take liquor out, right? That's why, like, even with this beer and wine stuff, the first thing I thought of was like, I should call my insurance guy. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of iffy. You're probably not covered for anything. But people are just doing it and kind of maybe asking for forgiveness. I think the assumption is no one's going to prosecute anything like that, maybe right now, and just forgive everyone. The other thing is the sealed container was an issue, and then there's also the perishableness of the cocktails. So it's like, what needs to happen is there needs to be voices coming from small businesses like myself, and I'm working on that with a couple of people right now. And I think what we have to do is we have to create the standards and then show them what the standards are and let them implement it, because the people making these decisions don't understand what's going on, and they don't understand how we operate on a day-to-day basis, or what's possible, or what we can and can't do. So I think one of the ideas is just simply using the same things you guys use when you're distilling, and just getting a shrink wrap little peel thing and using the same type of bottles we do. Maybe creating cocktails that are only spirit based, so you're not worrying about perishability, not using fresh fruit and things. The other part of this too is like the TTB might get all pissed off about some of this stuff. Do we have to label things in a certain way? There's just so many different things that I guess have to be thought of first and then implemented universally. I think the other thing
do you think, would you have to proof this stuff? Is that part of the labeling issue, or nobody really knows?
I don't think so, because we're not, I mean, I don't, maybe. I don't think anyone would think of that, so I don't think that's something you'd want to include, because I don't think everyone's going to have the technology to be proofing everything that they're sending out. I think the biggest piece is, I think, and the easiest thing that everyone could do is, if we're physically putting the things into someone's trunk when they're leaving, that could be part of the process. But I think that it's three things. I think it's trying not to make things perishable, making sure it's in a sealed container, and there's one universal process for that. And there's the means of getting that to everybody, and then physically putting it in a place where people can't get at it. Can we swear on this?
Yes, you can do whatever you want.
The deeper I get into just kind of, my own personality. So I'm trying my hardest not to, but something might come out. I think it's the difference between opening a beer when you pick it up and opening a bottled cocktail. I think a misconception people don't understand when it comes to cocktails is just because we're starting with something that's high alcohol, we're not serving it high alcohol. It's been diluted by at least 30%, and then there's a whole bunch of other things that go into it. We're not just giving you a bottle of alcohol that's open and expecting you to start drinking it. It's the proof ends up being about the same as like a high alcohol wine once you're actually ingesting it. I mean, that's why there's a rule for what is drunk? It's a shot and a half, or it's one beer or one glass of wine an hour, right? So it's like we're selling the same stuff. I almost did it. We're selling the same stuff as what beer or wine would be if we are going to make these cocktails in advance.
You sound a little hot about this.
We're proving it,
Is this a key? Do you think that the lack of this being included in that bill is a big problem? It sounds like it is for you.
Well, I mean, I have other stuff to worry about. I don't sell food, so I can't get away with this at all. So for me to be able to do this, I also can't just sell a frozen pizza. I figured that out. It has to be something that's physically prepared for someone, which is even crazier when you think about it, because there's a higher risk for food contamination than there is for alcohol-based contamination with any of this. So I don't know.
Well, it sounds about as messy as I thought it was then. Does anybody else have anything to add on that before we move on? Because I want to hear from whoever wants to.
I'm just curious. I don't don't know what the answer is, but I know other states are doing it. New York has been doing it for longer.
Yeah,
So
in Texas
somebody
too.
figured out a way to do it there. I mean, I don't know what they're.
I think expanding the off sale would be another option, and allowing restaurants to purchase minis
Yep.
and minis and 375 mLs. That way we could create a kit, so the perishable part is separate from just a bottle that you would buy at a liquor store. I mean, there's off sale 20 minutes away in Wisconsin. You can go in any bar and just buy whatever you want, right? Off the shelf. And essentially we would operate like liquor stores, but one of the caveats that we could offer what we do. I still can't do any of this, mind you, but I'm just thinking of ways for my friends to be able to do things. I think also that would be easier too. Then you're selling a sealed container just like a liquor store would. And the difference between those licenses is, I mean, we have the option for off sale. We just don't have it in Hennepin County. There's liquor stores in Minnesota that have off sale. We just can't do it here.
That's exactly right.
So do you think this idea of cocktail kits that mostly the distilleries have been doing, but even restaurants have been having non-alcoholic mixers that you add your own alcohol, from a consumer standpoint, yes, it's true. I can't go to a bar or restaurant and actually enjoy that. So there's a dearth of choices, but I am loving that. By show of hands, does anybody think that will continue? That concept will continue after this crisis passes?
I think so.
Has it been,
I hope so. I hope
so too.
it continues.
Has it been a massive pain in the ass?
Right now, no, because it's the way of business right now for me.
The only
Speaking,
way.
you know, that's what we've pivoted to. I think as we quote unquote get out of this and back into normalcy, it's going to be another layer that we have to add on to an already kind of murky business plan that we have already. But I think if there is a silver lining to all this, we have uncovered a more creative way to get our products out there, work with people like South Lyndale Liquors and J. Carver and kind of collaborate what we do as a collective versus as individuals. So I think these cocktail kits that people can come in and get now, I think that I'm hoping that it will continue, far after this pandemic has subsided.
I don't consider myself to be normal in any way, so I will preface what I'm about to say by saying that. But when we go up to the cabin in Two Harbors and we're going to be up there for a few days, I have to pack everything. My shakers have to pack everything. I want to travel in such a way that I can enjoy all these things. So people who go to the cabin on weekends or go out on the boat in the summer, I think having these grab and go kits would be highly useful for what is actually a pretty big part of the way Minnesotans live their lives. Whether that's sold from a liquor store or from the actual distillery or a combination of both, I think it would all be good. Go ahead.
I think that from my standpoint, working with J. Carver's and the Far Norths and the local distilleries is going to be the way to go for us locally, because we already have a relationship built in, and now we get to collaborate with our products to make a J. Carver Old Fashioned, to make a Far North gimlet with stuff that we provide, that they provide. We send out in a kit, people come buy them, they go up to their cabin, and they're able to make these things with, minimal work.
Gina, you guys, oh, sorry, Rob, go ahead. My
and I think, beyond the collaboration from a capitalist point of view of like, we're all trying to survive this and make money, I think there's also an opportunity here that we can, to collectively, on-premise, off-premise, distillers, everybody, there's an opportunity for us to actually collaborate and get together on a larger scale and maybe come together in a different way that's more meaningful coming out of this. Maybe start looking after ourselves and maybe not rely on like some of the entities we have relied on, and maybe collectively go forward and be able to make changes in legislation that makes sense for all of us, instead of kind of, talking about this and talking about this. If anything, it's opened my eyes. And I think a lot of my friends and a lot of the people that I've been talking to, we're noticing there's a need for us to collectively come together when it comes to liquor laws and legislation, and really all have a voice in a lot of this stuff and make something that makes sense. And I think there's just so much evidence and proof in how archaic some of our liquor laws are still here in Minnesota. I mean, we just started Sunday sales, for better or worse. There's two sides of that too. But I mean, and how long did that take? And I mean, we can get further and further. We're still dealing with these arbitrary or prohibition laws that, you know what I mean, are like insane. We'll get there, and it's not even just that. It's just like, why can't we collectively come together and maybe form a unit that can take care of each other in larger ways? Maybe we could, that there's power in numbers, and I think all of us have a voice on some level in this, and we all work with. There's this 3-tiered system that we all work in, and I think there's room to maybe make that work for everybody a little bit more.
As an outsider with a slightly different or a parallel perspective, I almost see the Surly bill, the passage of that, in the same way I see the passage of marriage equality in the US. That was the big goal for so long that we got to that finish line, and a lot of people stopped running. And yet there are still a lot of laws on the books in states around the US that can, you're allowed to discriminate based on sexual orientation. And there are still a lot of these smaller laws when it comes to alcohol sales in Minnesota that are getting in the way of progress as well.
That may be, but Sunday sales has not helped South Lyndale, and we're doing well. It's actually, it's been an unfortunate thing, but most liquor retailers that I talk to have not seen an increase in revenue. They just saw Saturday sales be a little bit less and Monday sales be a teeny bit more, and that's where your Sunday bit is. So, there's some of these laws that are a little archaic, and some of them that just haven't benefited some of us either. And we went to them. So different points.
Gina, I was going to ask, as a premier, I'll say, cocktail room in the Twin Cities, do you think that the idea of continuing takeout cocktail kits, would that hurt? Would you be worried about that from a business perspective?
No.
You don't think that would compete or prevent people from coming?
No, actually, I think it's the absolute opposite. What I said earlier is the fact that the locavore is craving, supporting the hospitality industry, supporting the local restaurants, the local distilleries, the local liquor stores. And I think sometimes we have to step outside of the box and say, because of the fact that we're allowed to sell, cocktails or a single bottle at a distillery, what we want to then educate the person about the fact that we are a grain to glass distillery, that all of our grain is coming from farmers 10 miles down the road. And then the fact that they understand the story of Jay Carver and who the team is and who we care about in Minnesota, actually then has the consumer say, oh my gosh, now I'm going to go to South Lyndale and I want to continue to purchase Jay Carver, or I want to continue to purchase Far North Spirits. So I think more education that the consumer in Minnesota understands about all of these local businesses and local restaurants and local retailers and how we do collaborate does nothing but help everybody. It doesn't hinder a single person. I just don't see it.
So Mike and Cheri, that sort of leads me to this thought of, have there been any maybe unexpected benefits or positives from this? And it sounds like Gina kind of hit on one of the ones that I was wondering about myself. I mean, you guys are not only grain to glass, you are the farmer is the distiller. Do you think that this has helped raise awareness of Minnesota brands? I mean, I certainly find myself checking the source of where my food is coming from now in a way that, even though I was pretty plugged in before, I never did.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that have been highlighted, I think, that are definitely positives. And one is end-to-end production, where you're starting with that raw material, either coming steps away from the distillery or just a a few miles down the road and ending with a finished product. And so the sourcing of all of those ingredients is right there. It leads into what I think is a great example of what we could do here in Minnesota. Is something they've done out in New York is all of the distilleries, the breweries, the wineries, the cideries are all part of an integrated agricultural beverage tourism association and initiative that then gives the retailers like South Lyndale, bars like Meteor, the ability to, you would now have something that you can hand sell that comes with that pedigree. And you can put together cocktail kits or what have you with all ingredients that have been sourced in the same way. And it really gives an opportunity to highlight that. It makes it a lot easier and a lot tighter.
Just making that direct line between what we're all doing in agriculture in a state like Minnesota makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's because it is agriculture. It's not the evils of jazz and liquor. You know, it's what we're doing is vertically integrated agriculture, you know, so.
I mean, there's a wide awareness that, for example, the University of Minnesota Apple program has had a huge impact on apples, not only here, but around the country. But you're right, there is not that parallel knowledge about how everything, how the agriculture here impacts the distilling scene.
Yep.
I wonder if anybody would be willing to give us their educated opinion as to what the bar and distilling scene will look like a year or 2 years from now. Is anybody willing to play forecaster? It's scary, I'll tell you that.
So we have to play weatherman?
Yes, but you don't have to take the abuse on social media if you end up getting this wrong, because nobody will probably remember.
Rob, go for it.
Oh, so I think that there's always going to be a need for people to come together. I think that people will continue going. I think people come to bars because they want to be taken care of, not because they want to have the cocktail. I mean, that comes along with it, but I think it's they want to see their friends and they want to be in an environment that they enjoy. There's a social aspect to it. I think people are going to miss in the long run. I think probably another reason I think collectively everyone needs to come together is I think that we're going to see even more oversight from the DOH, and that's going to change a lot of the things that we have to do. So, maybe operation will be a little bit different. Maybe there'll be some stricter policies when it comes to some of the things that we do, restaurants and bars. I think at the end of the day, people will come back. I think it's going to take a while. I think there's going to be some apprehension, and I think this is going to go up and down, and it's just going to be, a different reality. It's not going to be easier, but I think it'll get there. I feel like it'll get there. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good. I was just talking I did a podcast this morning with somebody, and we were talking about what it's going to look like coming out of this. And I think it's gonna take a while. I think if you've ever been down the parlor on a Friday night or Saturday night and it's shoulder to shoulder down there, and there's a line out the door, and I think that kind of environment is gonna take a long time to come back. Not only because of what's going on, but I think people have a better awareness or a better kind of overall concern about their health, everybody else's health, what's going on, what they want to try to not do again. I think those days are gonna. But I agree with Rob. At the day's end, when this is all over, people are gonna want to, congregate and meet their friends. And where do people congregate and meet their friends at? Bars and restaurants. Not because they're looking for an old-fashioned or a cocktail, but because they want an experience and they want to feel normal again, and they want to hang out with their family, their friends, their buddies, their bartenders, their servers that they have relationships with. Because at the day's end, that's what we are doing in our everyday business as a hospitality professional. Is providing an experience for people to gather and to remember. And I think that will never change, but the way people may go about it may change a little bit and may take a while to get back.
I can't touch people anymore.
I know. No more hugs, Rob. No
Usually,
more
well,
hugs.
I usually just grab people's faces.
Sure.
That's what I'm known for. If you guys haven't been to the bar yet, as soon as people sit down, I just grab their face. So we'll have to change policies here.
Hey,
Get on that,
Jesse,
Elliot. Start typing a new policy.
You can do that.
I got a question, Jesse and Rob. In thinking about this and everything we're trying to do, my hope, I agree. I think your predictions may be accurate, but my thought is if we keep doing all the things we're doing and putting out good cocktails, I think it may help the industry over it in the long run in a year or two. Basically, the idea of if you look, let's take a totally different industry. Whatever, let's look at flour shortages. Everybody's trying to bake their own bread. Everybody's coming into baking. Everybody's looking up new recipes to do at home. My hope is that the culinary scene inches up and that the average person starts seeing an increase in quality in the stuff they're cooking at home, but because of that, they understand the difficulty it is to make good food at home. And so if we relate that to cocktails, if we can get enough of an awareness with cocktail kits, with the things we're doing now, with that excitement, it pushes people. As professionals here on this screen, everybody here is very into the scene. And one of the things that we're always trying to do is to encourage people to dive into it in the way we've dove into it so that we can get them excited. And so my hope is that this time isn't a waste where we're all just trying to survive, that we come out of it on the backside with people having this better idea of what good craft cocktails are, what it really takes to make them. And then they're coming into places and they're looking for those good cocktails. And you can then take it to the next level. And that's what kind of excites me. And that's my hope, is that there's a silver lining in this and the cocktail scene takes off after this.
And
I
Dan,
mean,
can
I would,
go
go ahead.
can I yell on that? Because what I'm so grateful for is everybody that is part of this call. And prior to these unprecedented times and the COVID-19 crisis, everybody here did support local and has supported the micro distillery scene. And that's what we're grateful about, is that Dan allowed us to be able to come in and do tastings to talk about J. Carver, and that Jesse and Robb and Elliot, always did have local cocktails with local inputs on their menu. So to me, the silver lining is everybody was already doing it, and we will continue once we get through this to have our customers saying, where should we go? Who should we support? I mean, everybody has a choice on where they spend their dollars. And now I think there's going to be a more intentional choice amongst people in Minnesota saying, okay, now I want to go spend my dollars here because of the support that everybody showed from, having micro distillery spirits on their shelves, on their cocktails. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for already supporting us like you have been over the last 6 years. And I just think that will continue to happen from that perspective. What will it look like? Does everybody take out, if they had 50 tables, do they take out 25? Or, I mean, there is going to be a landscape change in the buildings themselves as well as we go forward. But I just want to say that from the standpoint of we're grateful and we want to continue to do whatever we can to support. I think the big deal from a micro distillery perspective across the country is micro distilleries, the competition is the big national brands, like I said before. And so the fact that people choose in the industry to have local products on versus a national brand is amazing.
Sometimes for a premium too.
Correct.
So one final go around here, maybe a sentence or two, starting with Mike and Cheri. What is the one or two things that you want the public to know as we bring this call roundtable to a close?
Well, I think one of the things from a micro distillery standpoint is that I think I'd like people to remember how useful and integral to their communities micro distilleries have been. And just to remember that going forward, that these are useful things to have in your backyard.
Jesse?
I think from a restaurant's point of view, first thing that I would like to say to the community is we miss you. We miss your faces. We miss your presence. That's the reason why we open restaurants and why we open bars, is to hang out with our friends and make new friends. And I think from the restaurant point of view, we are going to make it, I was just telling someone the other day, like, if there's any industry that can survive, that has gone through this kind of thing before with prohibition and, whatever else, is the service industry. And the reason is because of the creative, the very on your feet kind of thinking, shoot from the hip kind of people that we are. We have found a way to survive through worse. And we will get through this, another silver lining that's going to come from this is it's a cliche. I think it's a hashtag now, we're in this together. And I think that's no different and more, not more, it's as strongly represented from the restaurants, from Robb and me. We've known each other for a long, long time. And I think coming out of this, we are going to realize that we are stronger and we are better as we are standing shoulder to shoulder. And there is going to be a new solidarity, I think, with everybody once we come out of this thing. And I am excited to get out of it, not from a business standpoint, but from a standpoint of I want to be able to provide a level of hospitality back to people. I want people to come down those stairs in Parlor. I want them to have a great time again, and I want to shake hands, sort of, with gloves on maybe. But I want to get back to doing what we do best in this industry, and that is take care of our people, take care of our community, and give them the experience that they want, that they deserve.
Robb, your parting message to the public?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Jesse said. I think make sure, hopefully everyone has an understanding of what local actually is and how important it is after this. I think there's a lot of talk about it right now. I just hope it lasts and people really care about it. And if you're gonna go somewhere, even right now, go to something that's actually independently owned and buy local stuff, drink local stuff, especially right now. Just stick with us. We'll be here for you. I can't wait to see everybody. I can't wait. We live to serve people. And it's like 4 o'clock rolls around every day and we're just like, what do we do now? Like, I go to sleep now? I just eat more? Like, I have 4 hours a day that I can dedicate to like computer things and admin-y stuff. And after that, like my brain shuts off and I have to like go into auto mode where I'm just serving people, it's killing me because I'm so not productive. I have 4 hours a day, I realized. Learned a lot about myself.
Hey, Mike, I think you should, coming out of this thing, I think you need to worry about another industry, is the salon industry, because look at me, I'm a mess right now. So we, once we're able to go get our hair cut and our beards trimmed and everything else taken care of, they're going to be in big trouble because there's going to be lines out the door. Holy buckets.
Yeah, well, we definitely want that beard shaved, or at least a beard net, before you go back to serving people.
It's out of control.
Dan, parting words?
Ooh, shop local, drink local spirits. I think the biggest thing, telling the public, you can enjoy local cocktail creativity, and you can still do it and support these companies now.
And Gina?
I would just love to say, continue to support your restaurants and local retailers, curbside pickup, whatever you can do to support everybody in the industry. I agree with everything Robb's saying, to understand what local is defined as, you know, what truly is grain to glass, that we really are doing it with local farmers, where Mike and Cheri are truly farm to table. You know, we have local farmers where it's local grains. We are making everything here on site. The fact that we're not, you know, buying and then redistilling, or that it's not somebody else distilling and a brand, that's really important. And then really, I think from the standpoint of understanding just laws, understanding what these liquor laws mean for all of us that really are small business. Even though we're a larger distillery, for people to understand that what we produce in a year is a national brand's waste in a day. I mean, we're a small local company, and we care about our local partners, in particular our small local restaurants, hospitality, and retailers. So support them, please.
I want to thank everybody again. It means a lot to me that you would take time to do this. You guys mean a lot to me just in general. I would not want to live here if it weren't for the hospitality professionals, the distillers. It really just makes this feel like a much bigger, a much more exciting, a much more vibrant city. And you all play a role in that. So Mike and Cheri from Far North Spirits, thank you. Jesse Held from Earl, Giles, and from Jester Concepts, thank you. Dan Campo from South Lyndale Liquors, thank you. Gina Holman from J. Carver, thank you. And Robb Jones from Meteor, thank you so much. Good luck. We'll do this again if we need to.